Hey y'all, it's your unfriendly tree-headed conjurer, Mama Noyela, and I want to cover some things today, a little bit dealing with hoodoo. And before anybody come on here trying to give me their P's, their Q's, their ins and their outs and stuff, this ain't for you. This is for people that really don't know nothing and are trying to learn, okay? So don't bring that mess on here. So, the first thing I would love to mention to you guys is rule number one, regardless to what anybody is saying out here on these different platforms and things of that nature, hoodoo comes from the descendants of slaves during slavery. That's rule number, which is not to be confused with the religious tradition of hoodoo, H-U-D-U, which is also another African spiritual practice. Number two, once you realize that American hoodoo is derived from multiple practices of those that were enslaved during slavery here in America, which is not limited to the Caribbean or any other places that the slave trade may have taken place. But specifically here in America, if you look like me, you are one of those descendants of those ancestors. And this is where the hoodoo becomes true, because everybody's ancestral practice of hoodoo is not technically based on the system itself. It's actually based on the way your ancestors or your family actually had their spiritual connection with hoodoo and their root work. Some of y'all ancestors may have only been heavy in root working, which is getting to the root of the issue, and also using the herbs which were rooted into the earth to help alleviate a lot of those situations and circumstances. Or on the other hand, some of y'all people were conjure. They were also able to tap into the spiritual realm, not just the physical realm, but read energetic fields and spiritual fields of other people, places, things, and everything else in between. And then you had that third group, which are the mixture of the two. Because of the slave trade, because of the history that so many people want to ignore and skip over, this is where the mixture of a lot of people's spiritual, religious, and physical DNA starts mixing and mingling, and you got all of these different spiritual properties and things of that nature that make up your family's traditional hoodoo practice. Now, the reason that I give this word of caution again is because you have to realize everybody's family did not practice hoodoo the same way. So whoever your hoodoo practitioner is more than likely, thank you, Spirit, more than likely practicing from how their ancestry are leading them, not necessarily going by a spiritual guidebook or anything of that nature. It is specifically tailored for that family's ancestry, which is another reason why it sort of baffles me in this spiritual community about people arguing over their religious and spiritual rights when technically it goes by what is in your DNA and what is left to you of your family, not what everybody else out here is saying. And this is our Spirit. I tell people, when you know better, you do better. Know yourself for yourself, by yourself, to be self-sufficient. Everything you need to know is within yourself. So again, when it comes down to hoodoo practitioners, they are not going off of an actual systemic religious basis. They are going off of the practices of their own traditional families. That is what the hoodoo is based upon. So, with that being said, I digress, because somebody finna get their panties in the... Namaste, y'all, but now I'm going to stay the hell over here. And before I go, there is one more thing I got to get off my chest. Hoodoo was a closed practice for a motherfucking reason. And the reason that it was a closed practice is because there were so many outside individuals that would use that specific religion and that spirituality against us. So,
certain families broke off with their own spiritual practices that left it closed, meaning if you were not of melanated descent, if you were not a descendant of slaves, and that is not something that you want to recognize yourself with either, then the hoodoo practice ain't for you. So I don't know who keep telling y'all hoodoo is an open practice. No, the hell it is not. It is meant for those descendants of slavery. That is the truth of the matter. That's just what it is. Namaste, y'all, but now we gonna stay the hell over here. Bye.